What is up, you guys? We're back at it with another video, and today we are on the Triumph Bonneville Bobber, and I'm going to tell you guys what it's been like to live with this thing for the last 2,000 miles. If that sounds good, stick with me. We're going to get into it right now. Miles, 2,000 whole miles. Not a whole lot of seat time, admittedly. For me, 2,000 miles is sometimes just a couple of days, depending on where I'm at in life. But I've had a lot of projects going on, so I haven't been able to get a lot of riding in on this bike in particular. For those of you who follow the Instagram, you may have seen that I built this camper van out of a 2001 Dodge Caravan. Drove that around the country for a bit. And I also, during that same amount of time, built this 2022 Honda Grom dirt bike conversion, essentially. That has taken up a bunch of my time. And I've been working on this Fiat 124 Spider, kind of a little lowered car show situation. It's also my daily, generally, mostly because I hate getting to work on a motorcycle and having to change clothes. I am going to do more of that here pretty soon, just because the weather is really nice and I want as much seat time as I can get. But those three projects have gotten in the way of the old Bobber getting some road time. But I'm out on it now, and I'm going to talk to you guys about what the last 2,000 miles have been like. For one, I will say that the seat leaves a lot to be desired. I love the seating position as far as where your seat and legs are, that situation. But the seat itself is not incredibly comfortable. I've definitely been on worse seats, but it's not the best thing I've ever sat on. I talked about changing it, but again, I've been caught up with so many projects that I've bought zero parts for this bike, so I have not changed it yet. But I do plan to change the seats. I also plan to change the handlebars. You look cool leaned over like this, kind of like clamshell, but it does get uncomfortable after a couple hours. I want a taller bar. I'm thinking something like right here would be really good. Just get my arms nice and even. There is the factory tall bar kit for the Bobber, which I'll float a picture right here. I don't love the look of them, but they will solve my problem with me wanting my arms a little higher. So I think I'm going to run out and get those once they're in stock. They're apparently out of stock until October, but I'm going to grab those once they're in stock. I'm going to get the ones off the Bonneville Bobber black, so that they are black, not this gray color, and so that these black straps blend in a little better, instead of being so high contrast against a silver bar. Not super certain why they went with the silver bar. Maybe so that they could make you buy the black if you wanted a black bar, essentially. Like upgrade. But the bar's got to go. I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change the height as soon as I can. That'll probably be the first thing I do. Just mostly because it does make it uncomfortable after a little while. But one positive about the bike that I like a lot is this power plant. Woo! This engine is one of the most fun I've ever ridden. I love this engine. I hope to ride more bikes with the same engine in them, because I really love the way the torque hits in. It has you sailing way over the speed limit in a very low gear very easily. Whoa! And when you're out on the highway doing highway speeds, it's just super relaxed, super composed, and easy. The only thing that's like kind of hurting you there is that there's zero wind protection, which I'm not sure if I'm gonna address. It really depends on what the bike looks like with the bars on it. Once I get the tall bars on there, I might be able to go kind of a little bit more baggery and get a windscreen on there. Not like a full-time windscreen, but just something for if I'm taking road trips that I can clamp on and then take off when I get home, so it looks better, you know. As far as mechanical issues go, the only thing that I've had to deal with is a tiny little oil leak from the drain bolt. My other Triumphs did that as well. I think it's just something you got to deal with when you have a Triumph. I've heard of people saying that they would replace the washer and it would be solved for a while, then come back, or they would put a new bolt in and that would work for a while, then it would come back, or they would switch to a thicker engine viscosity, or all these things. But I've decided that I'm just going to ignore it. It's a tiny little bit of oil. When I do my oil changes, I top it off and there's almost none missing, you know. Like when I like drain it all out, it's just about basically the same amount. It's not like it's burning oil. It's not like it's like losing a ton of oil. It's, I think, well within the range of acceptable amount of oil that remains in it, even with the leak. So I'm gonna do nothing about it because that's how I handle my problems. It's not like it's leaking to where it's getting all over the tire or anything. It's literally just every now and again I see a single drop in my carport, which I can live with, honestly. It's crazy how fast Atlanta is growing. Every time you turn around, you see a big old new apartment building. All these things that used to not be there are just massive. Little old 50s homes that were super adorable getting torn down and turned into like McMansions. That's what happens when a city grows exponentially. That's what I'm talking about right there, that torque. Woo! Love that. When a city's population just skyrockets, you know, they gotta have somewhere to live, so you end up with stuff like that, which sucks, you know. But I mean, that lady likes it, I'm sure. That's why she's going in there, unless she's secretly robbing the place, which, you know, wouldn't surprise me. You gotta think outside the box. Like right where this building is, I used to live in a house here. Me and a bunch of my friends that rode fixed gear bikes, we'd all hang out in the yard, work on our bikes. There's the MARTA station right up here. Like, yeah, that was my house. That's so wild. There's this MARTA station right up here, and since none of us had cars, it was super convenient to live here because we would just walk, like ride our bikes up, hop on the train and go to the other side of town and hop off and have our bike with us so we could, you know, do whatever it is we needed to do. For a while, my mom actually lived in this apartment complex too. Let's go in here. She lived in here for a while back in the day, and yeah, this is pretty unchanged, which is wild. I looked recently actually, and when my mom lived here, it was like $500 a month, $600, something like that, for a 2-bedroom apartment. Now they're like $1,100, and as far as I can tell, completely unchanged. It was always kind of a shitty place to live, but like as far as the apartment goes, but it's super convenient if you don't drive because, like I said, train station's right there. This one was my mom's right here, actually. Yeah, right here with the bikes on it. Number 9, that was my mom's. That's crazy, dude. It's really convenient because you could get on the train here. Right across the street, there's grocery stores, there's a Target, like this little Edgewood shopping center we call it. The clutch feel on this bike is really nice. That's one thing that I admittedly don't pay a ton of attention to normally, but the clutch on this bike is super good. It's just nice and buttery, and it gives you the right amount of feel. Sometimes you have a bike and the clutch is so light that it just like doesn't give you any feedback, and it feels kind of awkward, you know. But this one's really good. Well done on the clutch, Triumph. Well done on the power plant in general. All the mechanical stuff is fantastic. If I had to like have a gripe about anything that like moves, I guess any moving part on this bike, it would be the suspension. The suspension leaves a lot to be desired, obviously, because it's just really short travel. It's laid at a pretty extreme angle. It doesn't really do a ton to sop up the bumps. This is one of those bikes where you get into the habit of just avoiding the bumps because hitting them head on is going to be a bad time. But you know, that's kind of part of the course for these bobbers and these like kind of really small like city bop around kind of bikes. I call it small, but for me this is a fairly big bike, honestly, coming from riding like scooters and whatnot. I did have a long stint that's not over with adventure bikes, but you know, as far as like motorcycles go, this heavyweight is not necessarily small, you know. It's weird that it kind of is when you think about like cruisers, but in the grand scheme of things, pretty large, pretty heavy. The ground clearance on the bike when you're like kind of in a turn is pretty limited. The pegs touch down pretty quickly. I've basically almost completely ground off the nub on the left peg. I will say that there's only been a couple times where that was an issue. Usually it touches down. I take that as my like reference point and I start to kind of stand it up a little bit. But there was one time where the pegs are so small that like it's small in relation to my boot that I leaned over, the peg touched down, and before I could kind of reference it and stand it up, my shoe caught. I actually know that girl. That girl is named Valerie. I haven't seen her in years, but yeah, my boot touched down and just like ripped my foot off the peg. Luckily, like I had like a good firm grasp on everything. I had a good control over it, and I could kind of readapt, you know, and be safe. But like, if I was even like slightly like off my game, I could have gone down just by how like hard it ripped my foot off. Obviously, you don't want your boot to touch the ground when you're in a turn booking it, you know, but it is what it is. I may honestly switch to, depending, maybe, we'll see what they look like, so we'll see what they have to offer. I may switch to either bigger pegs or floorboards. Mostly because, like, I know at some point I'm gonna end up with another Triumph cruiser, whether it's a Speedmaster or whether it's a Rocket 3. So I don't feel bad investing in that stuff, because I know that later on I can take it off and either sell it or put it on a new bike. So I might buy floorboards just to try them out, and then later on maybe put them on a Speedmaster or whatever else it is that I end up owning, you know, just so I can get my whole boot kind of away and have like the bike touchdown, not me touchdown first. But that's just a small gripe that may not even apply to you. I have fairly large feet, and the pegs really are pretty small, so like just not a great combination. Obviously, the big point of contention with a lot of people in this bike is the range. Let's see if we're going to touch down in this turn. Nope, pretty modest turn, no touchdown, that's not bad. I could have leaned it over more and like kind of intentionally put it down, but that's not what we're here for. But yeah, a lot of people have an issue with the fact that the bike just gets really trash fuel economy, or range, not necessarily fuel economy, but fuel range. I'm getting light at about 80 miles. It can maybe make it 100 miles on the tank, I think, with my riding style. I've never confirmed, so no need to leave a comment and correct me and say, I get 120. What I'm seeing is the light comes on right around 80, and I usually just fill up as soon as possible. I'm not going to push it. Literally, I'm not going to push it because this bike is very heavy, so I'm not going to risk running out of gas and then having to push a very heavy, very low motorcycle. So, for science sake, I am going to say you get about 80 miles per gallon, which is not great, but I have learned to live with it, honestly. Like I said, I haven't done a really big trip on it yet, so at some point it will be an issue and I'll have to figure it out. In my last Bobber video, I said that I plan to just put a gas can on the tank, or not on the tank, on the rack on the back, just so I can carry a little bit of extra gas and maybe get that to the 100 and be stopping every 100 versus every 80. So that's still effectively my plan, but around town it's been fine. If I'm riding it a lot, I'm getting gas just about every weekish, but like I work 3 days a week, my commute's 20-ish miles total, so after a work week I need to fill up, but it's doable around town. If you're wanting to go on trips on this bike, which again, don't leave a comment saying this bike's not for road trips. Like, I'm aware that the bike is not a bagger. It's not a bike that's designed for road trips. But some people buy a bike because they like the way it looks and then don't have enough money to buy other bikes, so they use them for everything. So some people will buy this bike because they like the styling or whatever it is, and then it'll be the bike that they have to use if they decide to go on a motorcycle trip. So this information is for those people, because I have been and am those people. Thank you, and rant. But if you're going on a trip on this motorcycle, you are going to probably need to figure out something with packing gas or really meticulously plan your fuel stops. The bike is way more than 80 mile comfortable, so you're not really ready for a break at 80 miles, but the bike needs gas, so you are going to be stopping. It is what it is, you know, just keep that in mind if that applies to you. In my initial video on this bike, I noted that I hate tube tires. They make changing a flat really difficult. You have to bring a lot more tools along with you if you want to fix a flat roadside. It's just a really big hassle. Initially I said I was going to buy some tubeless wheels, which I'm kind of on the fence about. After riding it for a while, I may end up still doing that. I think what's going to end up happening is, as of right now, to date, I don't have any long trips planned for this motorcycle. So I think I'm going to hold off, because around town, I don't know that I'd carry tools to fix the flat. I would just get a tow. I have enough friends right around here that have trucks. There's professional tow trucks. I could figure it out. I could even just take the wheel off and take it to a shop, like pull over, lock up the bike or whatever, take the wheel off, take it to a shop. There's lots of solutions around town for me solving having a flat tube, like a puncture in Atlanta. But when it comes time to take my first long road trip, I think that's when I'll shell out the couple $1,000s for some wheels that are tubeless, just to make my life easier on the road. I don't want to be in some rural area, get a flat, not know anybody, not know what the tow situation is. Ooh, Fiat 500e. I really like EVs, y'all know that. I've been thinking about that one. The range is trash on that car. Actually, the range on the Fiat 500e is the same as the range on the Triumph Bonneville Bobber. It's 80 miles per charge. Trash. On one of the other bobber videos, I kind of set up a little poll asking which of the two wheel choices that I was thinking of you guys liked more, and which of the two exhaust options that I was thinking of you guys liked more. And when it came to the wheels, it had really good votes on it. You know, like there was a bunch of votes for A, a bunch of votes for B. I cannot remember which one won. My plan is to just go back and look again at which one won when it comes time to buy some wheels. But the exhaust was a little bit of a surprise. There was a little twist in that one. What happened is about 90% of the people said that they liked the stock exhaust more than either of the two exhaust options I was looking at, which was surprising, you know. I love this little back road, but the more I look at the stock exhaust, honestly, the more it grows on me. My issue with the exhaust is generally that they're big and heavy and usually don't sound very good, but this one does actually sound pretty all right. And when it comes to weight, I don't think shaving weight off the exhaust is going to make this bike feel any lighter. So I was thinking about it and I was like, all right, everybody thinks it looks good, it sounds good enough, and the weight won't really matter. Why am I doing this? Am I just modifying a thing just to modify a thing? And then I thought about what I've done to the Grom. The Grom is running a full exhaust system. I floated a picture of the bike earlier, but I'll throw another one right here that shows the exhaust a little better. This photo is by my friend Wesley. He's a bomb automotive photographer. I don't know if he watches these videos, but he takes some fire photos. Why aren't you going? So there's a picture from him. Shout out to Wesley. I think it's shot by Wesley on Instagram if you want to go check out more of his stuff. But when I put this exhaust on, it did make the bike a little lighter. It did make the ground clearance a little better for when I'm off-road. But what it also did is it made it really, really loud. The bike is super, super loud, which is fine, you know. Loud pipes save lives. But sometimes you want to leave your neighborhood without, like, alerting everybody. Or you want to just be able to cruise around at night without feeling like a dick for being so loud. So I think that leads me to leaving the stock exhaust on this bike just because it's so quiet. When you get on it, you get some good sounds, but it's not hurting anybody's ears. Like, I hate when I'm like trying to sit outside and like have a coffee on my porch and then like some super duper loud bike goes by. There's a guy in my neighborhood who has like a straight piped R6, and he's the kind of guy that like rides the throttle a bunch, you know, like clutch in and just making noise. And it's infuriating. It's infuriating to be just trying to chill and relax, and this guy comes through the road just making noise just to make noise. So maybe it's my age showing, but I do want to try to have this bike a little quieter, a little bit more, a little bit less like obtruse. Like, I don't want to just annoy people just for the hell of it, for my own personal gratification. That doesn't mean I'm gonna go take the exhaust off the Grom. Like, that bike is done. That is the build. I think I threw the stock parts in the garbage, but this bike, I'll keep it a little bit more low-key so it can be more of like a simple kind of daily rider, low-key, easy situation. Which, calling it easy kind of brings up one of my favorite things about this motorcycle, and that is that it is very easy. Sometimes when you're riding, like, let's say an adventure bike, you think about having to push it out of the carport or the garage. You think about having to lug it around, having to step on the peg to get up on it because it's so tall, and having to tiptoe at every red light. It just seems like, I don't want to go ride today. It just seems like too much work. But with this bike, you know, sitting down, it's like I'm sitting in the chair, flat foot, knees bent. The power delivery is nice and strong, but it's not super twitchy. Everything about this motorcycle is really simple and really easy to live with. So I just generally like it. I think for what you pay for these, it's a really good value for money, especially if you're buying it used like I did. I got mine on the secondary market from a dealer. They inspected it, went over it. Everything worked. While looking down and saying everything worked, one thing that does not work is the horn. This is the third Triumph horn that I have that does not work. I don't know what's up with these. I haven't messed with it at all. It might be that I just need to tighten up the screw a little bit to get the contacts a little better, but horn does not work. Never has. Honestly, I think the word that really comes to mind to explain this motorcycle is approachable. Everything about it is super approachable from the factory. The power plant is mellow off the line until you really want to get up on it, so it's not going to shock you there. The seat height's super approachable. Like I said, you can flat foot, you can bend your knees. It's really comfortable. The reach to the bars isn't extreme because they're not very like far away. They're not very tall. Granted, these are things that I want to change, but from the factory, it's just really easy. I did learn one thing about it is you can unlock the okay. You can unlock the gas cap and then thread it in so that you can just use it as a threaded gas cap, not a keyed gas cap. You can leave it unlocked and just spin it out, which I like. I hate keyed gas caps. I hate having to take my key out of the bike to get gas. I hate fumbling with the key and the gas cap, and especially if they come off, then you have to lay the gas cap with the key in it down somewhere. All that sucks, but I like that this one you can unlock it and leave it unlocked, but then still just thread it in. Nice little thing to discover. If you are like me and hate keyed gas caps, kudos to you. I just solved your problem. You're welcome. But it's just really, really easy, this bike. If you want to go fast, you can go fast. You can go really, really fast. You can also stop fast. You can stop really, really fast. I just love it. I really do. I think for the money, it's a really good buy. I don't know that there's very many things better than this in this style, in this price point. Like, you can say there's the Sportster 883, there's the Sportster 1200. This is a better motorcycle than the Harley Sportster. I am sorry, it just simply is. The refinement is there, the fit and finish is on par. It's just, what Harley really does well is their fit and finish. Their bikes are meticulously made, you know. This bike is also meticulously made, but it's faster and has better handling. The chassis is nicer. The chassis is nicer. It's just a better motorcycle, dollar for dollar, than the Harley Sportster, while retaining the same good looks and the same fit and finish. And there's not really any other competitors. The metric bikes lack the fit and finish of the Harleys and the Triumphs. They really do. The metric stuff, the chrome is plastic. It's just, they're good, you know. The paintwork is all right, but not like Triumph or Harley are all right. They're just a little bit more, I don't know, like, budget minded. You can just tell, and that's why they're cheaper, because they are more budget minded. You can argue for reliability there, but this bike, like I said, has been rock solid. So honestly, I think if you're looking for this style of motorcycle, this one is really it, man. This is the winner. If you want like a standard, like, bobber style motorcycle to bob around town on, and you want some decent power, just go out and buy a Triumph Bonneville Bobber. Search your local dealers, look at the used inventory, just find yourself a good deal on one and get it, because it is really a great motorcycle. But that's going to be it for this one. If you like this video, please hit thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, surprising, I don't know why you wouldn't have yet, you probably should have, but if you haven't yet, go ahead and hit subscribe. Your boy appreciates it, and I will see you on the next one. Y'all have a fantastic day. Peace.